What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made these. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, juicy, tender, amazing smoked turkey legs. Coming up. These are some turkey legs. Pat them dry. And what I got here is some turkey legs, turkey drumsticks to be more specific. And unfortunately, these aren't the gigantic ones you're gonna see at Disneyland and at the Renaissance Fair and things like that. But I found these in the freezer section at my local grocery store, which is not ideal, but full transparency. For me right now, it's like mid-October and all the good turkeys for Thanksgiving and Christmas have not hit the shelves yet. But by the time you're watching this video, I'm sure they're everywhere. So you might be able to find some of the big ones or at least some fresh ones. But honestly, these should work out great because I don't necessarily need a gigantic turkey leg. And this is still a pretty big piece of poultry. But today we're making some classic wet cured smoked turkey legs, which I think is a very underrated thing to do on the old barbecue pit this time of year, because who doesn't love gnawing on a big piece of meat on a bone? And I actually did these about 5 years ago on the channel, and to this day I think it is the juiciest piece of poultry that I've ever put on this channel. And at the end of that video I said something along the lines of, why don't I make these more often? I definitely need to make these more. And truth be told, I haven't made them since, and I've been dying to do it again. So that's what we're gonna make today. But like I mentioned, one of the key steps I see most people missing when they're trying to make these kind of carnival style turkey legs is the wet cure. Because if you've ever had one at Disneyland or wherever turkey legs are served, they kind of have that pinkish hue, that charcuterie hammy vibe to it, and it really is a fantastic bite. So first thing we need to do is make ourselves a wet cure. So to make our brine, we're gonna start out with 2 quarts of water. And what I did is I weighed this amount of water, and now we're gonna add 5% salt and get that all mixed up until it is completely dissolved. And once that is nice and clear, we'll go in with our sugar. I'm going 10% weight of brown sugar today. Get that whisked in as well. And of course you could heat this up, but if you look at that, it's all dissolved pretty well. And now we're gonna add our pink curing salt. And how I calculated that is I weighed the amount of water plus all the weight of the salt and the sugar and the meat, and then I took 0.25% of that, which gave us about 10 grams. And then to add some November flavors, we're going in with some thyme, some sage, some rosemary, and for good measure, a couple of bay leaves. And then in we go with our lovely drumsticks. Beautiful! And now lid goes on, and we're gonna park this in the fridge overnight. And again, this is leaning a lot closer to a brine than a proper wet cure. Like if I was making bacon, we'd have a lot higher salt and sugar ratios, where this is a lot closer to a traditional poultry brine with that 5% salinity. And then the pink salt is there just to add that hammy charcuterie vibe. It's gonna tighten the meat up a little bit, but we're only going overnight as opposed to like 7 days for bacon or something like that. So in the fridge this goes to develop all that wonderful flavor, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. This video is brought to you by ZBiotics. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was created by PhD scientists to help tackle that rough morning after a night of drinking. And essentially how it works is when you drink alcohol, it gets converted in your gut to a toxic byproduct called acetaldehyde. And it's that toxic byproduct, not just dehydration, that is to blame for your rough mornings after having a couple of whiskeys the night before. But ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol produces an enzyme to break down acetaldehyde in your gut. And to use it could not be more simple. First, give it a quick little shake, pop the top, and make sure this is your first drink of the night. It's quite tasty. And then proceed with your plans as usual. Get plenty of sleep, drink plenty of water, and you'll wake up the next day feeling great and ready to tackle the day. And this time of year can get pretty hectic with holiday parties, winter festivities. There's a lot of barbecue festivals in November as well. But with ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol on hand, I know I can go out and enjoy these festivities and still wake up the next day feeling great and being productive. So if you want to give ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol a try for yourself, click my link in the description box of this video or scan the QR code on screen now to save 15% off your first order. Again, scan the code on screen now or click my link down below to give ZBiotics a try for yourself and save 15% off your first order. Thank you, ZBiotics. 24 hours later. Out of the fridge these come, and they are looking absolutely beautiful. And by that I mean pretty much exactly the same, except they do seem to have a bit of a darker hue to them, which is a good thing. And I know that these are now packed with as much flavor as we can get in there, and they will be nice and juicy. But first things first, I'm gonna take these inside and give them a rinse under some cold water to make sure there's not too much brine on the exterior. And just like that, after a nice quick rinse, making sure there's no herbs or anything sticking to the outside of these, I was sure to come through and pat them dry. And now we're gonna get some smoke on these. Now with drumsticks of this size, we find ourselves in a tricky situation because I don't want to have tough rubbery skin on these, which means I want to cook them hot and fast. But if I cook them hot and fast, we're not going to get much smoke flavor and we're not going to get that classic dark color that we're after. But luckily these are cured, which means we can do a cold smoke. So the game plan today is to cold smoke these for the next few hours, building up some wonderful flavor and color, and then finish them off hot and fast to hopefully get some crispy skin and some nice juicy meat. So let's go ahead and fire up the pit. And on the pit we go. Gonna keep these on this wire rack to make sure that we don't smudge these beautiful, clean turkey skins. Got the smoke tube fired up, and we're gonna let this rock for the next few hours to get some really good flavor on these bad boys. Low and slow, the pit is off, so we're just getting a nice cold smoke on these, and hopefully we get some nice dark color and some wonderful flavor. And at this stage, you can do pretty much whatever you like. You could throw a rub on the outside of those if you wanted to add some more flavor. But remember, they are fully brined, so we really don't want to be adding too much more salt to the exterior. But you could hit them with some black pepper or some garlic powder if that's your style. But whenever I think about a big smoked turkey leg from the fair or something like that, I'm thinking about that super dark, kind of smoky, classic turkey leg. So I'm leaving mine naked today, relying on the flavor that's already penetrated deep into the meat. But of course, you can do whatever you like. As for pellets, I'm using some good old-fashioned Smokin' pecan shell pellets, my pellet of choice. And if you caught my pellet grill series I did over the summer, I really like the flavor of these. They're super smoky, and they're made of 100% pecan shells. No filler additives or anything weird like that. Great company, and nice and smoky and great flavor. What's not to like? And if you want to pick some of these up for yourself, you can click my link in the description box of this video, or you can go to chudsbbq.com, or if you're local to Austin, you can swing by the Chud shop and grab some. Also, if you want to win a 1-year supply of Smokin' pecan shell pellets, click my link in my description box down below, or you can go to their website to enter. The contest runs now through November 20th. Make sure to tell them you heard about it through Chuds BBQ, and one of my viewers will win a 1-year supply. That's 1 box per month for 12 months. Absolutely free. Highly recommend. But as you can see, we got a lot of smoke coming out of there, so we're just gonna let these rock in there for the next few hours. It's about 4 hours later, and this thing has finally whisked its last smoke. But taking a look at these things, they definitely look very smoky. Loving the color on there, looking nice and dry to the touch too. And honestly, they look like those pre-smoked ham hocks or turkey legs you can get at the grocery store for making a soup or something like that. But very happy with the color, very happy with how dry these are looking. Definitely gonna be nice and smoky, so now we need to cook them through. And the easy thing would be to just fire up that pellet grill and cook them all the way through on that. But whenever I'm cooking skin on poultry like that, I want as much convection as possible, and it's hard to beat the old offset when it comes to convection. Not to mention having 2 different types of smoke on these bad boys. Sounds like a pretty good idea, so let's go ahead and fire up the pit. Oh. We'll start with 2. I swear if snakes had legs, I would cook them too. And on the pit we go. Got the old offset here fired up to about 300 degrees. We're gonna cook these pretty hot and fast. I'm gonna put them up a little bit closer than I would for something like a pork butt or a brisket or something like that. Gonna try to run a nice clean fire, a lot of convection running across these things. So hopefully we get some nice skin and some more smoky flavor and bring these up to probably 180 or so internal, which probably won't take too long, but we'll check back in a little bit. And just like that, after 1 hour on the dot on the pit, well, maybe it was 1 hour 10, but these turkey legs are done and looking absolutely beautiful. Love that golden brown color on there, looking nice and shiny, good bone pullback. And I was just temping these, and they're all around 180, 185 in some places where you want to go right onto the bone, and also go through the top so you're not puncturing the skin. But that being said, time to pull these off and let them rest. Ow. And there they are in all their glory, folks. Some beautiful golden brown, extra smoky looking, absolutely beautiful turkey legs. Let's see how they came out. I gotta tell you, I'm pretty excited about this one, folks. It's been a minute since I had a really good turkey leg, you know what I mean? But really, just the color on that. It's almost too pretty to bite into, but we gotta find out how it came out. So, bottoms up. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh, the flavor on that is so good. Nice and smoky, but not too smoky. And that meat is just so tender. Mm-hmm. Got that pink hue to it from the cure. I'll freak someone out. It's raw. Nah. Perfectly seasoned all the way throughout. Nice amount of sweetness. Salinity is perfect. It's honestly not too salty, which is nice. Skin, had a little bit of tug on it. Definitely not crispy, but that's always gonna be hard to do when you're doing a wet brine like that. But I figured that cold smoke would dry it out. It definitely did dry it out, and I did get through it. But it's not like that Wagyu beef fat deep fried whole turkey I did a few years back. I'll tell you that much. But it is a fun little snack. I feel like a king. And honestly, that smoke flavor on there is incredibly pleasant. I was a little worried it might be too smoky after a cold smoke and then a hot smoke, but it is really nice. That's what I love about cold smoking with a pellet tube, is that it's never gonna be as bitter of a smoke as you'd get off of a log that's just kind of smoldering away. Very, very good. I mean, that skin, I'm getting through it with no problem. It's more snappy than crispy, kind of like a sausage. This whole thing is kind of like a sausage. Cured, cold smoked, boy, good. It's like ham meets turkey on a bone. Can't go wrong with that. And it's just so juicy. I mean, look at that. And also, you know, this was a really easy process. That brine comes together super quick. One night brine, you don't have to go for days or anything like that. It cooked in an hour on this, if you skip the cold smoke, that is. And if you show up to a party or a family gathering with a big plate of these, I mean, that's a showstopper every time. Absolutely beautiful. Incredibly juicy, incredibly tender, and just so much different than the drumstick you're pulling off your Thanksgiving bird, you know? It's almost got like a candy ham vibe going on because of the high sugar content we put in that brine. Very, very good. And if we go ahead and pull that skin back, you can really see how juicy that meat is. Ooh, pretty thin skin too. Highly recommend it, folks. Beautiful bone pull back on there too. Well, before I put on Game of Thrones and gnaw down on all of these, I think it's time for the official taste test. Alright, y'all, and that is it. That's how to make some absolutely fantastic, juicy, smoky, smoked turkey legs. I highly recommend giving this one a try. You know, turkey legs are readily available, they're pretty inexpensive, and not only do they look absolutely fantastic, but they taste incredible as well. So juicy, so smoky, so tender. And like I was saying earlier, I've seen a lot of people smoking turkey legs on the internet before, but every time they forget the curing step, which again is completely optional, but if you want to have that Ren Fair or that Disneyland kind of big old turkey leg flavor, this is what they're doing. And how I found that out is one day I googled what is a Ren Fair turkey leg, and the first article that popped up said, no, it's not ham on a bone. But the curing stage really does set this turkey apart from anything you're going to be having on your Thanksgiving or Christmas table this year. And anytime you're combining the flavors of ham and turkey, it just screams holiday meals, right? Absolutely fantastic. Definitely something I'll be making again very soon. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Team Chud members over at teamchud.com. Thank you for supporting this channel and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.